It seems like every time I get in a discussion uh, that I have to bring in historical factors that many are not aware of. And I don't blame the people who don't know certain things within history as much as I blame the school system over the past 60 years. Anybody who's been in school in the past 60 years has a dominantly far leftist education. It means that your view of history is based on a leftist narrative, your view of culture, um, your view of politics, and what norms are, or even pertaining to this country, how certain things came to be. And just think about this, all of us, even as individuals, usually when we're telling a story, it's based on how we seen that story or what parts we want to put out there as relevant. And sometimes when somebody either asks a question, it might bring other aspects to light that'll change the whole perception of the experience or even the knowledge of what the thing itself is, whatever it is. And I'm seeing lately not just the amount of flack that Musk is getting from promoting free speech, which is, I don't even know how to really take that one. But then now I'm seeing that we have a government task force basically within Homeland Security that's going to be monitoring information, even down at community levels, to be looking for certain narratives. Now, when somebody says certain narratives that may be problematic, our culture, our society, like I just mentioned, over the past 60 years has been leftist led, pretty much, since the 60s. So anything that's outside of that, or anything that challenges narratives that are promoted, or talking points that are promoted, are considered misinformation. Even resources that come from groups that are considered either moderate or conservative, whether it be doctors or historians, people who study culture, economics, those people as resources are actually not allowed often in social media platforms, and especially in the school system, because the professors, which are dominantly left, utilize their own textbooks. Some of them wrote their own textbooks or co-wrote textbooks. So resources that are provided are leftist. And I'm not sitting here claiming that all texts or accounts from leftists are inaccurate. What I'm saying is producing the chaos that we see right now is the fact that we're only getting one side of a story. And there's resources outside of the left that are just as trustworthy as anything on the left. The problem being we can't see them. They're not promoted. And beyond not being promoted, they're being labeled as either white supremacists or something to do with being a male or traditional or oppressive. There's lots of little buzzwords that are being used to describe moderate or conservative resources and talking points. And if you think about the founding of this country, after 6 years of war to break away from Britain, to break away from authoritarian rule, it became its own nation, independent, with its own principles. And the founding fathers did begin to promote justice in a way that was different than anywhere else in the world. It didn't happen automatically. It couldn't, because part of the reason we formed as a country was to have less government power. And having less government power means you have to work, states can work within themselves, and then the people who elect people work within those states, and even at community levels, county levels, city levels, to do things that the community wants to do. And if you think about when the country formed, communication was not as easy as it is now. We didn't have, there was no internet, there was no telephones. I mean, you had, basically somebody could carry mail to somebody else for you. So change was slow. And it's often referred back to, well, look at how those people behaved when they started this so-called free country. They put the stuff in principle. They gave it a starting place. I mean, it had to start somewhere. And it just took some time to develop, and it's still developing. But the point is we have those principles. And one of the key things that allows liberty to happen, freedom to happen, justice to happen, is free speech. And right now it's being called harassment or hate speech, to have somebody bring in a different perspective from leftists, as if leftists are somehow the golden standard that everything's measured by. I'm not saying anybody or any group is the golden standard of measure. I'm saying being able to dialogue, being able to discuss and challenge each other, and have resources from different people, different personalities, different backgrounds, help come to conclusions that more, or make it more likely for liberty and justice to be happening. And right now, it's frustrating to me. There's so many people calling each other names. And mainly, I'm not going to avoid this, I'm going to say it for what it is. Mainly it's leftists doing it, the name calling. And it's based on these notions of what they've been taught. So we can't have a conversation, because all we get time to do is try to re-educate, or at least provide additional education to help somebody come up with a perspective that's a little more balanced, more realistic. So what I'm reaching out today in this video for is especially for the people in the middle, because I think people who are too far on one side or the other aren't listening anyway. They want to be in control. So I'm talking to people more toward the middle, to educate yourself on this country, how it was founded, what it was founded for, how it is developed, what's its intent, and then think about what censorship does to the very notion of liberty and justice. What does that do? Because it's not people trying to harass people. It's not people trying to give hate speech to get somebody hurt from another race or another ideology. It's dialogue. It's called free inquiry, free thinking. Logic can be used. Real life examples, real data can be used to come to conclusions. And we're in an extremely dangerous spot right now. And it's frustrating that so many extremists on either end are being the mouthpiece and controlling the entirety of this country right now. Think about that.